Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. I'm doing a little bit of work on a small Squier SP10 amplifier today, and basically what happened to it was the grill cloth that was on it got ripped in the middle, and I just thought I'd replace it with a remnant that I have. This is going to be a real quick tip video on how to replace grill cloth. I've done amplifier restorations in other videos, so if you want to know more info, just go out and look for those. So basically what I've got is a piece of Fender style grill cloth that's got the black, silver, and sort of that aged white, that tan in there. It's a nice geometric pattern with the little rectangles on it, and that actually is very helpful for alignment. I've got my grill, went ahead and repainted it with some flat black paint, cut out a piece of grill cloth that's about 2 inches wider than the face of the grill, and that's because this grill is probably about a 1/2 inch thick. A lot of grills are between 1/2 and 3/4 inch thick, and that provides enough space to wrap around the sides and staple into the back. I've gone ahead and measured out the dimensions, and I've made a halfway mark on the top and on the bottom, and that's where I'm going to start recovering and sort of like try to align myself with the geometric pattern in this. So if I find a vertical rib in the grill cloth and align that with that center point, that's going to make sure that I have an equal gap on both sides where the pattern ends. So if it's halfway through a rectangle on the right side, it's going to be halfway through a rectangle on the left side. If you don't want to mark directly on your grill, you can put a piece of masking tape down, obviously, and do it that way. The other thing I want to align is I want to try to find a place on the pattern where the entire bottom edge aligns with a horizontal piece of the pattern. So whether that's a white line or a black line doesn't matter. So I've got this lined up, and then I want to wrap around, align my center line, and then I'm going to use a pneumatic stapler. Now you don't have to use a pneumatic one, but it sure makes life easier. And I'm using 3/8 inch staples because I don't want those staples poking through the face of my baffle board here. So I'm just going to throw a staple in the middle to hold everything, and what I want to do is flip it around and come over to the other side, pull this taut, and then I want to come around and align that vertical rib with the mark on the other side of the face. So then throw another staple in there, keeping this very taut. So now hopefully what this has done for you is established a good center line, and it should be fairly tight. Now you're going to have to keep pulling this tight every pass, but the way that I do this is I will alternate sides. So I will start working out from the middle, pulling tight, and I won't go all the way to the edge because I want to leave a little bit of room to pull on the edges just to make it a little tighter, and then I'll fill in the corner. But basically we're going to start keeping this horizontal line next to our edge. So I'll just make sure I line this up with the corner, then I'm going to throw a staple next to the staple that I just threw. And I'm just going to go around like that, couple staples on each side of the center, and just work your way out from both directions at once. Once I have those 3 staples in, I go across on the side where I only have 1 staple, and I pull as tight as I can possibly pull it, trying to line up that pattern with the edge. Since I've thrown 3 staples in this side and 3 staples in this side, I can keep going a little bit on this side if I want, and go to 5, then 7, then 9, and kind of go back and forth that way. And by the way, when I'm pulling sideways and tightening at the same time. All right, now this is the point where I'm getting pretty close to the edge, so I'm probably going to stop here. I might throw 1 more staple here in a second, but what I would want to do next is just pull tight here at the corners and see where is my pattern landing, and I want to try to fold everything over and keep that same spot. And I'll throw a staple in the middle here, tighten on this side, throw 1 in the middle, and then I'll flip it over and check my pattern and see whether my vertical lines are wavy at all. And if they are, I'll have to take those 2 staples out and do it again. Okay, so now that I've got 1 staple on each side and I can tell that my pattern is going to line up okay, I will just start doing the same thing on the sides that I did to the top, and I'll go 3 on this side and 3 or 5 on this side, and then kind of expand out on each side until I get to the corners. All right, when you get all the way out to the corners, or close anyway, this is when you need to start doing some trimming. And you want to check before you do any trimming that your pattern is right, because you can't go back and stretch this fabric anymore after it's already been trimmed. All right, when it comes to doing corners, there's a small trick to it, and one that I like to use is to throw a staple in the side of each of the corners right at the edge. That will hold some things together while you cut. Then what I like to do, I'll flip this around and I'll cut 45 up to the corner itself, or close to a 45. And then just trim your edge straight off. You want to come back on this side and secure this corner. So I usually take a couple of staples and throw them diagonally in the corner like that. For this excess that's here, it's got a couple of frayed ends, and I'll clean those up with a little bit of a lighter just to make sure that they melt together and don't come loose in the future. That usually gives me a pretty tight corner. On this amp, I'm not super worried about the corners because they're not exposed, but I just want to make sure I don't have anything exposed at the very edge in the front where you would see it. Okay, and once you get everything all sort of laid out, you can do a little bit of extra trimming on the sides if you want to clean up some of this excess, and I kind of do. All right, well, that's the end result. It's a pretty square pattern. Everything's all kind of lined up and there's no real waves in it. Everything's tight, and I'm ready to reinstall my speaker. Well, wouldn't you know it, I lost my microphone right at the end of this video, but what I'm showing you here in this segment is that my vertical lines and my horizontal lines are straight and the grill cloth is absolutely tight. And you'll notice that everything lines up at the top edge and there's an equal amount of space on both sides of the pattern. So that's pretty much it for this project. I really appreciate when you guys hang out. I really like the likes and the comments that you guys give me, and I especially appreciate the subscriptions, and I'll see you guys next time.